What's up guys, it's KardTrickKid, and today I'm going to be answering your guys' questions. So without further ado, let's just get into the questions. I cannot find anything to comment. Question: why are you not using GaNCube? This is gonna be a fun one. So you guys submitted questions on Discord, YouTube, and Instagram. And sorry I couldn't get to every question, there were a ton. Here are all the questions I got to answering. Now, a couple of people asked, what are your main cubes for every event? So here they are. For 2x2, I use the GAN 251 Pro. It's a pretty solid cube, I have a review on it. 3x3, I use the Yo Cube. 4x4, I use the Aosu WRM. For 5x5, I use the YJ Mini 5x5. It's a really good cube. For 6x6 and 7x7, I use the MGC. For Square 1, I also use the MGC, but the Angstrom version. For Megaminx, I use the Diane. For Clock, I of course use the Chi. And for Pyraminx and Scube, I use the GAN. I think those are all the WCA events. Question: why? Yes. What do you think is more important in a video? Good editing or high quality? Now, you can have a $250,000 cinema camera, but your editing could still be garbage. And to me, the stuff you're saying is more important than the quality you have. Stuff like extra cameras and lenses are just add-ons to what you're saying. Now, obviously, I have no idea what I'm saying right now. But to be fair, a good microphone and a good camera will help your content out a lot. My old content back in like 2019, I was using like an iPad mini to record and earbuds, and the quality was pretty garbage. However, when I got a camera and a mic, my quality got a lot better. However, you can still make awesome content with an iPhone. Before I got a camera, I was using my iPhone and the quality was pretty good. It's not as good as a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, but yeah, iPhones are still pretty good for video making. Next up from Creator Cuber: how do you come up with video ideas so consistently? That's the thing he struggled with the most. Well, it's not as easy as it seems. Like, every other week, I kinda can't think of a video idea. Usually, I try to film my videos on a Friday, edit it on Friday and Saturday, and then upload it on Sunday. And a lot of the times, I ask my friends or my Discord server for advice on videos because I just can't come up with ideas. But most of the time, what I do for something like Cube News, I look at Reddit or the speed solving forums, or my friend Andy helps me out, and they show me new cubes and new records. But for some of my other videos, I just have said random things that pop into my head, and just sometimes combining some other ideas. Like, for example, is this speed cube good, and our old speed cube good, and combine them, and then you get this video. Next up from Anune: what do you think was the biggest breakthrough of your channel? Definitely 1,000 subscribers. I never really thought I'd get that, but I did, which was really cool. But honestly, the subscriber count didn't really matter to me. What mattered was the support I was getting from you guys. If I wasn't sponsored, how many subscribers do I think I would have? I still think I would have reached 1,000 because I was at like 800 when I got sponsored, but I think I would have like maybe 1.2, 1.4 thousand. Not like where I am right now, which is like 1.6 thousand, but yeah. Thank you so much to the Cubicle for sponsoring me. It's helped me a lot. Next up from Burp: nice mic. I agree. Next up from Pro Cubing: did you stole anything from the Cubicle? Shh. The next question comes from Cubing Wizard: how did Corona affect your cubing career? Now, when I was quarantined, I had a lot more free time, and I spent a lot of that time cubing. At the beginning of quarantine, I was averaging like 17, 14 seconds, I can't really remember. And right now, I'm averaging sub 9, and sometimes even low 8 on a good day. Being stuck inside gave me a lot of time to practice, which did affect my social life, but it did make me a lot better at cubing, which is funny. And I did make a lot of new friends online, which was cool, and especially in the cubing community. So coronavirus positively impacted my cubing career if you would call it that, and I met a bunch of new friends online, which was really nice. Next up from Solver 5K: how did I not lose my mind in that warehouse? To be honest, I kinda did. At a lot of points in that video, I was kinda at a loss for words and I was kinda stuttering a lot. That warehouse was insane. I would really love to visit there again. It was pretty awesome. If you ever have that opportunity, you should definitely go to the Cubicle's warehouse. So next up from A Cubing: how do you edit your videos and thumbnails? Now, to edit, I use Final Cut Pro 10. I switched to Final Cut in around August of this year. Before, I was using iMovie. iMovie is good for basics of editing, but Final Cut is definitely better if you want to take your content to the next level. iMovie is much more limiting, but Final Cut has a bunch of awesome features that I use in my videos now that I could not use in iMovie. Final Cut has really cool effects and plugins you can use, whereas iMovie is much more restricting. Now, for thumbnails, now I use Photoshop. I used to use Canva, but Photoshop, as I said before, like Final Cut, you have a lot more freedom with it, and I really like Photoshop. I'm not an expert in Photoshop, but I watched a couple of videos on like the basics of it, and now I know how to make basic thumbnails, which I use in my videos. If I had to make a premium cube, what would the setup be? It honestly depends what the cube is, but most of my setups either have like Angstrom loops, Mystic, and they usually have DNM in them. But here's like a general blend of what they have. It's kind of like the Yo Cube. It's pretty funny. Mystic, Gravitas, DNM, and probably Weight 5. That's pretty much the Yo Cube setup, but I've been setting up my cubes like this for a long time. It slows them down, but it also speeds them up, and it gives it a nice balance, and I really like the setup. What is my main event and why? Probably 3x3 since I practice it the most. I want to get into other events, but yeah, 3x3, Square 1, and sort of Megaminx, not that much anymore, but 3x3 and Square 1 are pretty much my main events. Next up from Gamer Cuber: if a fish drowned on Halloween and tomorrow is Valentine's Day, how many colors can you smell with your ears? I'm gonna go with the square root of -14 on this one. Next up from CJ Cubing, how long until you get an NR? Now you guys probably already know this, but I live in America, so NRs are really hard. We got Max Park, we got Max Shao, we got a bunch of top cubers in this country, so I don't think I'll get an NR for a really long time. Or ever, unfortunately. It would be great to get an NR, but I don't think I will. Do you prefer the GAN timer over the stack mat, or do you just not have a stack mat? I have both, but I prefer the GAN. The GAN has some cooler features, but the stack mat is pretty solid. The reason I switched over is because I got the GAN really recently. Not really recently, but I think in June. And my stack mat was having issues back then, so that's the reason I got the GAN. The GAN is a really solid timer, but if you already have a stack mat and it's working fine, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're deciding between the GAN and the G4, I would actually suggest to get the G5, since in 2022, that's going to be used in WCA comps. And next up from Kiwi Cuber, out of all the colors, what is your favorite number of the alphabet? My favorite is square. Which WCA puzzles can you solve? I can solve every WCA puzzle. If you mean every WCA event, I can't do any of the blind events or feat. I've tried. It did not work. But yeah, I think I can solve every WCA puzzle. I'm not that good at 7x7 or 6x6, but you know, I still know how to solve them. Next up from Lukey Trukey, favorite underrated cuber, favorite speed cuber, favorite channel that has 137 subscribers. Now, when I took this picture, you have 139 subscribers. So you are not my favorite channel with 137 subscribers. But my favorite speed cuber is probably Max Park or Felix. They're just the goats. My favorite underrated, probably Max Shao. Max Shao has the NAR average in Square 1, which is really awesome. And he's also a really good all-arounder, which I feel is overlooked a lot. And that's why I'll be voting for Max Shao in 2024. Next up from Elias, what is your favorite food? Now, I like burgers, but I also like udon noodle soup and cupped ramen. They're very good. Next up, this question's really controversial, so don't cancel me for this. What is your opinion on a sweet potato being considered a potato? This really infuriates me. You see, a sweet potato should not be considered a potato. And yeah, that's why I'll be voting for Max Shao in 2024 for president. When I started YouTube, did I think I'd get 1,000 subscribers? And how many did I think I would get? This question never really crossed my mind when I was starting YouTube, but I thought I'd get to like 100, maybe 1,000. If I could steal any 5 puzzles from the Cubicle, which one would I steal? Well, in me, Humble Cuber, and KardTrickKid's podcast, we asked Phil and Jules a similar question, how to escape the Cubicle with 2 to 3 briefcases of cubes. And they answered this question pretty well.
The best way to enter the Cubicle undetected and leave with 2 to 3 suitcases that might be heavy is to beat me. Because I can enter the Cubicle whenever I want, and I can leave with 2 to 3 suitcases, because I'm really strong and good looking.
Very good advice right there. How many cubes and decks of cards do I have? Last time I checked, I had like 80 decks of cards, and I haven't gotten many cards since then, so probably around 80. And for cubes, last time I counted was in like April. It's like 50 something, so now I'm assuming it's like 60 or 70 something, which is pretty cool. What's my favorite cube from last month's releases? I can't really think of any cubes that were released last month, but I can think of a good signature cube, which is the Yo Cube. I'm pretty sure it was released last month, and that cube's my main. Would I rather have a broken Guhung V4 or a Rubik's brand as my main? Honestly, a Rubik's brand, because a Guhung V4 that's broken can't even function, and at least I can turn a Rubik's brand. Come on, Diane, fix your cube. Bonus challenge, go to the gym and get buff. I'm trying, okay? Next up from KardTrickKid, these questions are from my Discord server. How many sides does a cube have? I think it's 13. What alg sheet / video did you use to learn full OLL? I think I used a mix of jperm's old video and jperm.net. I learned OLL at a really bad time, so I don't really remember, but yeah, that's how I learned it. And a similar question, when did I learn OLL? I was averaging around 23, this is a really dumb story, and I thought learning OLL and COLL would help. It sort of did, but not really. I kind of got faster, but OLL didn't really help me at that stage. I recommend learning OLL at like sub 18, sub 15, something like that, but not when you average like 23. How should I improve to get sub 15? For me, sub 15, since I already knew COLL and OLL, was a lot of practice and refining F2L. You want to make sure your F2L is as efficient as can be. You're using very little rotations, and again, make sure to practice a lot. What is my PB average of 5? I have a 669. It's a really dumb average. The solutions were insane and really lucky. I don't think I'll beat it for a while, but I do have another sub 7 average, which I also didn't think I'll get, so maybe, who knows, I'll beat it. Who is my favorite YouTuber? It's between Cubehead and Tingman. Cubehead, since I can relate, since I'm a Final Cut Pro user, as I said earlier, and Cubehead also uses Final Cut, so I can learn a lot from his videos, and Tingman because his content is just so wholesome. What's my favorite budget and flagship 3x3? For budget, it's the RS3M 2020. I've tried the 2021, and it's not really different in performance. It's not worth the extra money for maglev in my opinion, and flagship is the WRM. Hi, so basically my camera ran out of storage, so I had to stop recording, and then when I went to re-record, I accidentally turned on manual focus, so the next half of the Q&A is probably out of focus. I'm really sorry. I did my best to fix it, but yeah, let's just get back to the questions. I've mained all three WRMs, but my favorite is currently the WRM 2021, but for me the most reliable is the WRM 2019. Next up from the Carrot Master, what would you say is your best moment in cubing history? I would say my 6.69 PB average, but that was too lucky to be counted as a good moment. But as Eric said, getting lucky is not a crime. For me, my best moment was probably my first sub 6 single. The last layer on it was pretty hit or miss. I could have DNF'd it, but I just took a shot and went for it, and I got it correctly. If you want to see what I mean, check out my reconstruction. But yeah, I was so excited when I got my sub 6. I had been working for such a long time to get a sub 6. I think it was like 8 months, so I was really proud of that. What's my reaction to all of these new competitions? I'm really excited because we're getting to see more records. For example, Zayn Kanani got a 1.06 world record average, and then the next week he beat it by 1.05. Zayn Kanani is insane, and he's definitely gonna get a sub 1 average soon. And I think he has a competition this weekend. By the time I'm uploading this video, he might already have the average. Who are my top 3 most subscribers? I don't know off the top of my head, but I do know that Tingman is subscribed to me, which is really cool. I love Tingman's content, and it's really cool that he may have watched some of my videos. On average, how long do you spend making a video? Well, right now, I've been filming for around 20 minutes. This video might be a bit longer than usual, but I film for a decent amount of time, probably around 20 to 30 minutes. And editing, I really lose track of time, and I get really distracted when I edit, so I can't give you an exact number, but it takes a couple hours, and editing is definitely the most tedious part, but it's also really fun. And then uploading and thumbnail takes a lot longer than I would have expected. The thumbnail takes longer than I'd like to admit, and then you have to do something like the description, the tags, stuff like that, which also is kind of annoying. What is my opinion on the future generation of YouTubers? Now, my opinion on this actually isn't the best. There's been a bunch of low effort content that's been going viral, and I'm not gonna name names, but the people who do this continue uploading this stuff, and it gets pushed into the YouTube algorithm because of how often they do it. They upload several times a day. Some people have improved. It's not necessarily the creator's fault, but YouTube keeps pushing out this low effort content. So in my opinion, the way we've been going for the past year or two, YouTubing isn't going in the best direction. If I could replace all the grass in the world with one thing, what would it be? I would do like Guhong V4s, but if you touch it, it breaks. So like whenever I step on grass, it just breaks Guhong V4s, which is my favorite thing to do. Do I play basketball? Yes, I do. I actually had a video on my channel playing basketball, but I took it down because of some personal stuff. But yeah, I do play basketball. What is my favorite deck of cards? I really like Nox. If you're a longtime viewer of the channel, you know I have an obsession with Nox. I also like Monarchs, as you said, and I also like Shinlim cards. Next up, we have some questions from Instagram, from McKaylee, KardTrickKid or KardTrickKid? That's a very deep question that many scientists can't answer. I don't like this question at all. Parentheses A plus B times parentheses A plus B equals question mark. I did this in math a while ago. I can't believe you're making me do math in my own video, but here's how it works. You gotta do something called FOIL, where you put the A times A, the final answer would be A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. Can't believe you're making me do math. Why are you so good at Squan? Okay, so in reality, I'm actually not the best at Squan. My turning could use a little bit of work as well as my efficiency. I'm planning to learn CSP this winter, so hopefully that'll make me faster. Parity really brings down my solves and slows me down a lot, so I'm really hoping that can make me sub 9 or sub 8. But yeah, I could work on those things, but basically the only reason I'm good at square one is because of these tips, or it's over there, I don't know. I made a video on how to get good at square one. Those tips pretty much got me to where I am now. Hey card scam. M-Cubers, who are you calling a scam? Hey card scam boy, what was your favorite video to make? Some of my skip videos were pretty fun to make. They didn't get a lot of views, but they're still a lot of fun to make. My best cubes of 2020 video was really difficult to make, but it was really fun because I got a lot of my friends and people from the cubing community to contribute, but it still was a lot of work. But I'd rather drink DNM or eat stickers from the GAN XS. Well, DNM is water-based, so I wouldn't die, but my GAN XS is stickerless, so I wouldn't have to eat anything. Next up, we got some questions that say, what is your age? Now, it may not look like it, but I'm actually 2 years old. Next up, we got people asking cards versus cubes. I definitely do cubing a lot more than I do cards. I miss the hobby of card tricks, but I do cubing a lot more. Next up, we got people asking my favorite event. My favorite event is probably 3x3. It's the event I do the most, and it's the classic Rubik's Cube, so I really like it. What are my cubing / channel goals? For the channel, I want to get 10,000 or maybe even 100,000. I don't even know if that's possible, but I want to get to those for my channel. So my camera ran out of storage again. Really sorry about that. But I think the question I left off on is what is my cubing and channel goals? My overall goal for cubing, I'm pretty close to getting sub 8 on 3x3, so my goal is either a sub 8 or sub 7 official average, and maybe a sub 5 single officially. That would be really cool. Next up, a bunch of people asked how I got into cubing. I learned how to solve a cube in 2017 or 2018, then I forgot, but then my friend re-taught me. I was at camp and he taught me, and then I went home and I learned CFOP, and then I got really into cubing, and now here I am. I relearned in around 2019, so I'm coming up on almost 3 years this summer, which is really cool. Next up, a couple people asked why I haven't changed my channel name to something not card related. To be honest, I've thought of changing my name to something not card related, but I couldn't think of anything good. There's always that thing that many people do, first initial, second initial cuber, or like blank cubes. I don't necessarily hate that, but it's not the most original, and KardTrickKid is just such an original name, and I feel like if someone says KardTrickKid, you'll know who it is. So that's why I haven't changed my name yet. I'm thinking of some name changes, but I can't really think of anything good. Next up, a couple of people asked if I would rather get a world record or 10 million subscribers, or 1 million subscribers. Honestly, world records are at such a high standard these days, and getting a million subscribers or 10 million is also very common. However, a bunch of subscribers that do watch my videos and that aren't dead subscribers would be nice, because I'm getting rewarded for the content that I make. World record would be cool, but like Yu Shengdu, he got really lucky and people got really mad at him for some reason, so I'd pick the subscribers. Next up, we got some questions from Discord. From CubingTube, do you watch the YouTube channel? You've probably never heard of it. KardTrickKid? Who's that? Next up from NDS, on a scale from 42 to 69, how delicious is weight 5? And which Cubicle lube tastes the best? Well, as you can see from this video, KardTrickKid, what drugs are you on?
Mystic and DNM.
I think Mystic and DNM taste really good, especially together. And then in response to that question, which setup do you like your food, Angstrom or Silk? Silk makes the food go down easier, and Angstrom kind of slows down the process, so I definitely prefer Silk. Next up from Kate, why is the sussy sus Among Us sus? Among Us. Next up from KardTrickKid, KTK2 is better than KTK. Not a question, but a fact. Okay. And then staying on the topic of KTK2, I got a bunch of questions about KTK2. Let's check them out. Why are you such a bad YouTuber, and why is KTK2 better? Very funny. KTK2, your experimental clone. Possibly. Who am I feeding more, KTK2 or the basement? Honestly, the basement, because the basement needs to be sustained more. KTK2, he can survive without food, it's alright. But the basement, I really need to take care of it. Gray KTK or blue KTK? This KTK. Alright, so I think those are all the questions for today, and now let's go see who won the giveaway. Alright, so here we have a random comment picker. We are going to see who won. Good luck to everybody. Alright, good luck to everybody. Here we go. So the winner is Cubingdom. Congrats for winning. I will contact you, and yeah, thank you to everyone who entered, and make sure to subscribe so we can do more giveaways.